Welcome to the Go Grava channel. My name is Aaron and I'm going to be providing a recap of what it's been like this last year opening a bike shop, a brand new bike shop, because there's a difference, I think, between buying an existing company and opening a brand new bike shop. And I'm going to share with everybody the experiences that I've gone through this past year and be as upfront as I can about the numbers and things like that, and how difficult it has been in 2024 starting a new business when the bicycle industry has been undergoing a horrible recession. So without further ado, let's get into it. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but it's for a good reason, and I'll tell you that in a minute. All right, so you have this brilliant idea. Got a new park tool bench here. Love this thing, super cushy. So you have this brilliant idea that you're going to go ahead and open your own bike shop. And I did it in 2024 knowing what I was getting into with the bicycle recession and how difficult that was going to be. And let me tell you, it was terribly, terribly difficult. And I'll make a couple points up here first, is that starting a new business, I had this idea or this belief system that if you put together a good business plan and took it to a bank, that you would actually get a loan. And that is not true. You'd want to, I didn't want to use all my savings that I had, but I did, just because no bank would give me a loan. Like, nobody can go to a bank. Like, some of you may believe this right now, that you have a business plan and you're going to go to a bank and the bank's going to loan you money because you have a great business plan. That's not how it works. Banks were not lending any money for new business plans in 2024, not at all. The difference is if you had bought an existing bicycle shop that had a revenue stream that you could show to the bank, then you could have got a loan, or I could have got a loan to purchase an existing bike shop. That would have been feasible. But walking into a bank and saying, hey, I have this idea, here's my business plan, I spent all this time and effort and mental energy into it to start this idea up, they're going to laugh you out of the bank. Banks only loan you money if you have money. That's the way it works. So again, this is why starting something fresh, a new brand, a new idea is so terribly difficult, because you need capital. You have to either bootstrap it yourself or find some help. So let's get into the bike shop in the beginning phases. All right, I'm changing venues in the bike shop to keep it flowing and things like that, but I signed the lease in January 2024, opened the shop in March of 2024, and then it was first day I did some great sales. The community and the people I know came out to support me, and then after that it was completely and utterly dead. dead. I mean, you would not believe the mental hoops I had to jump through for myself as I was going into April and May and June and just not making enough money to cover my fixed costs even. So the way it works basically is, let's say if you make $1 million in retail sales and you're running a 30% margin, you have 30% in gross profits. That $300,000 then goes to cover your fixed costs, which is your rent and your insurance and your utilities and things like that. And then also your operational costs, which is your employees and the day-to-day things it takes to run your business. And it was tremendously difficult when I'm looking at my sales for the first 4 months, and even gross sales receipts are barely covering my fixed and operational costs. Which means if you sustain that path over time, you're basically going to go bankrupt. To give you an idea for bike shop owners, how bad it was this first year in the beginning and how much of a hole I got into the first half of the year, with my gross profits, make sure I state this correctly. So my gross profits only covered 70% of my fixed costs in 2024. So I was operating at a loss that first year because I was a brand new bike shop and the revenue stream was so bad that first 6 months of opening the bike shop. I'll give you an idea how bad was the revenue the first 6 months in 2024 for my bike shop. January and February in Pennsylvania was very cold, 2 very cold months. Business is what I consider to be very slow. But gross sales, or the total revenue of the store in January and February, were more than they were in March, April, May, and June when I first opened the store. That's how bad it was when I first opened this bike shop. It almost felt like a bicycle boycott was happening in my community against me. I don't know how else to explain it, but no, actually I do have another way to explain it. It's difficult to start a new cycling shop because so many people have their bicycle shops that they go to. It doesn't mean they're going to come to you for anything at all because they already have relationships built. The only people that were coming in were people who were upset or had a bad customer experience at other bike shops in my local community. Now, I will be forever grateful to Mike, Kevin, Glenn, all these people who came in and did business with me in those first 6 months. It was tremendous, and thank you very much from the bottom of my heart because it was a very difficult time, but things changed. Things changed in July, August, and I'll tell you how that changed for my business. So one of the things that changed for me specifically is how I thought about mobility in a sense. If I'd stuck to just running a bike shop, I would be bankrupt in December. There was no way I could sustain myself. And so when I created Go Grava, I did it in a way that I learned in business school and I learned from my experiences as a chief operations officer in a software company and a senior product manager at Wahoo and things. I wanted to build some pillars behind this idea of Go Grava. And the pillars were get people outside no matter what, be an impact to the community wherever there is a Go Grava store, which allows me to expand if I have the energy for that. But we won't get into that. This first thing has to be successful first. And then support North and South American manufacturing where I can. Those are 3 pillars, broad pillars for a reason. And I kept them broad because I wanted the ability to pivot and not get pigeonholed into one certain idea. So getting people outside, no matter what, in my mind was normally just like hiking or camping or things like that. Like I never thought it would lead me down into the e-mobility realm, e-scooter and e-bike realm. So for instance, we have this beautiful pivot mountain bike here with the Fazawa 60, Ride 60 on it. And this thing weighs like 37 pounds. It's just a tremendously capable mountain bike. And that's what I pursued first is Bosch certification, Fazawa certification, Bafang certification, Yamaha, Giant, getting all of these mountain bike certifications I can because I was still in this cycling mindset, big company mindset. And that changed in July and August. So as I was opening this bike shop and going through things, I was trying to understand, why was I not selling any bicycles? Why was it so slow? But in the meantime, I was getting all these calls about e-bikes, your non-traditional e-bikes. Like the things I was focusing on was the high-end mountain bikes. Like how do I repair a Bosch motor? How to turn with the Turn cargo bikes and with the big mountain bikes. How do I get certified? How do I service these things? That was my idea, was fixing e-bikes from these big cycling brands. But I kept getting customers coming in with these cheaper e-bikes. Now, Hemiway is not a cheap e-bike. Hemiway is a fantastic e-bike, so is VeloWave. But I was getting like the $800-900 e-bikes from Amazon into my store. Now, in the beginning, what I was doing, because I was so desperate for work, is I was just doing brake pads and I was doing truing tires and replacing tubes and things like that. But I wasn't really getting into the motors or the electronics of things because I just didn't understand the concept. I was always been a bicycle mechanic my whole life and a tinkerer, so it didn't scare me to do this stuff, but I couldn't really dive into these things. And then the other thing I was getting is scooters, like this GoTrack scooter. There are kids with scooters everywhere. Like there are probably, within the population of Reading and the surrounding suburbs, probably something like 30,000 of these things in the area, and nobody services them. I mean, nobody. And so as I'm looking at getting all these calls about scooters, nobody can change a flat tire. Nobody can do any work on this stuff. So I started taking them in. So that's when Aaron came into the scene. So this is Aaron's workstation. It's quite messy. He's an electrician, electrical engineer, what do you want to call it? He doesn't have a degree in electrical engineering, but he's been doing it his whole life. He's self-taught. You know, same as software developers these days. When we were hiring software developers, none of them had a computer engineering degree. A lot of the guys we hired was just like, here's the code, can you do it? And if you could do it, you get hired. But he came in and we started taking on stuff that was way more complex than I was comfortable doing myself. So we just got to it. We started tearing apart scooters and e-bikes and disassembling motors and doing it all. And then because Aaron was there, he gave me the confidence to actually get into these things. And I'll make a separate video about how not hard some of this stuff is. Like, this is basically, every rear e-bike motor is a stator motor. It's no different than here, let me show you. It's the same thing that's in this. It's a brushless DC motor, that's all it is. And these motors just have a planetary gear system, some multi-step gear systems, but the concept is really not that difficult to understand. You know, once you get through, like, there's clutch bearings and things like that. Now the electronics, like, you can do some stuff with the electronics, not everything, but not that hard to do. And the misconception I had is they were as complicated as the Bosch, Fazua, and other motor systems, and they're not. The cheaper e-bikes are plug and play. You literally just, not all the time, but I swear it's like 90% of the time, if you have the right pin connectors and the right color pins for a display or whatever it is, you can just buy one off Amazon and plug it in and it'll probably work. Now, don't let me sugarcoat things to make it seem like it's super easy to do any of this cheaper e-bike stuff. It really isn't, because you have no access to the controllers, but we are working through even that issue. And the expensive systems like Bosch and Fazua and Bafang and Giant and all these things, they're made so bike mechanics can troubleshoot them. They have software packages behind them that test and detect things, add components, and you just kind of do a plug and play. So the cheap Amazon e-bikes or even the e-scooters are very much more difficult to work on and test on, because you don't have any of that software. You're kind of doing deduction, like, is the motor bad? Pop it open, let's take a look. Are the magnets still on there? You know, the stator motors, you know, how does it look? It is more complicated. And my thought process was, when I brought Aaron on board as the engineering or the electrician engineering side of things, is that it's going to be much easier for me to teach somebody like that how to fix a bike than it is to take a bike mechanic and try to teach them electrical engineering stuff, because I am not an electrical engineer. But the reality of the situation is that even with the controllers in all these scooters and e-bikes and stuff, they're locked out, you can't get in there. But I mean, you can buy your own controller, and you can subscribe to software and program your own power curves and do your own thing. I could take this controller and put it on any of these e-bikes, and we could make a 250, 350 watt motor super torquey and super fast. Now, it's going to probably reduce the life of it, but you know, we can take a scooter that has 600 watt motors, dual 600 watt motors, and probably get it to 55 miles an hour if we want. Now, I'm not going to do those things in my bike shop because of liability reasons, but there are possibilities with programming your own controllers, because that is the critical weakness, is when the controller goes out and you can't get the parts. So how have things changed for my business model? Well, basically, business was going bankrupt as a bike shop up until August of 2024, when I did the pivot to e-mobility, because pillar number one, get everybody outside no matter what. And that includes e-bikes and e-scooters, no matter how much they paid for them, or what the cost, what the brand name is on it. And I had my first profitable month in August of 2024. And that has continued since. Well, it slowed down. It seemed like October sales like slumped tremendously in October, because maybe elections or something, but sales are up, and I have renewed confidence that this idea is going to work again. A branded bike shop that has a 3-pillar system that works better for communities and for the employees that work there. And yeah. So how has this changed my revenue streams in my bike shop? Well, basically, if I was just doing bicycles alone, I would be bankrupt. This is how the revenue comes into the bike shop now. By far the number one revenue generator in the bike shop. 40% of my sales in the bike shop are e-bike and e-bike repair. And I'm not talking high-end giant e-bikes, which we can get, or pivots or specialized or anything like that. Those do exist in the community, but those are very reliable systems. They don't break that often. So doing repairs or convincing somebody that they need to do a $395 annual maintenance package to prevent a larger bill down the road is difficult to do. And so 40% of that income is actually the e-bikes that are under $2,000. That is 40% of my store's revenue. The other 30% of my store's revenue, now we're up to 70, is e-scooters. Nobody within, let's say, the only place I've found is 75 miles away, like in Philadelphia. We're the only bike shop in the entire area that can full service an e-scooter. And I mean full service, not like just changing brakes. Like, we will put solid tires on your e-scooter, rotors, brakes, we'll pop it open underneath the bottom, we'll do motor troubleshoots, controller troubleshoots, panel troubleshoots, we can change the throttle bodies out for the throttles and stuff. Like, we can do it all. We've invested probably 9 full months, 9 full months into figuring out how to fix e-scooters. And that has paid dividends for us in the community, because now as the word is spreading, I have nonstop. I got 6 e-scooters in various stages of repair right now, averaging $120 per repair. That's the average e-scooter repair bill. Basically, if you can come in at 35% of the cost of buying a brand new scooter, people are willing to pay for it. If you start getting close to 50% of the cost for repairs to actually replace a scooter, then people may not do it, but it's a big money generator, and we're also solving problems for the community. Like I said, there's probably 30,000 e-scooters, within a 15-mile radius of my store. So the other 30% of my store sales is bicycles. I'm still a bike shop, and I want to do bike business. 2% of those, that 30% is online sales. We are still selling online. We do it through Shopify. And that's probably a whole nother topic. Maybe I'm getting a little long-winded here, but 2% is online sales, 28% is in-store sales, and a lot of that is maintenance, and we don't move a lot of acoustic bikes in the store at the moment. That could change here in 2025 now that we've got Giant in. It took me 9 months to get Giant, and I wanted Giant for a reason, because they kind of sell everything. They're a fabulous company, and I'm hoping this acoustic bicycles, we can sell through more of those. Matter of fact, the Giant Talon, the new Giant Talon is the most exciting bicycle, I think, coming out in 2025. It's not the high-end stuff. It's not the medium-end stuff. It is this Giant Talon that you can get for $950 that comes with a 1x12 system, a front shock, has progressive geometry, and has a dropper post for $950. So I got to see, I ordered a few of them. We got to wait for inventory to get in, but I'm excited about the Giant Talon, which I think is going to be the number one bike in 2025. But let's not talk about $12,000 bikes. I think the Giant Talon will be the bike of 2025. So let's get into Shopify for a second, and point of sale systems and what I learned there, and marketing. All right, I use Shopify. Right here is my point of sale system. It's not Lightspeed, it's not Workstand, it's not these other bicycle specific platforms that I use. Now, before I got Shopify, I actually had the very cheap payment system, which is just the little puck and stuff that I use, where I could take payments over my phone and things like that, which worked fine in the beginning. But having a website and selling online, I needed a more robust system, and I went with Shopify, and I am glad I did. And I'll tell you why. Workstand and these other companies may be in significant trouble if somebody like me, who's been in software and worked in the cycling industry, been a senior product manager, and understands how these things work. Oh, customer's calling. 1 minute. Go Grava Bicycles, this is Aaron speaking. Shopify is an amazing platform. Shopify allows your store, your online presence, and things you have to integrate specifically through tokens, through the tokens and the keys and all these things into Facebook, which gives you Instagram. It can push your store into TikTok. It can do your Google ads. You can push Google ads out of Shopify. You can do all this amazing marketing stuff with Shopify. It has a robust shipping system. It has very competitive rates when it comes to credit card transactions. Now, it is expensive, don't get me wrong. I pay like $220 a month, and those costs add up over time. But what it does for my website and the integrations with the payment system here, I take PayPal, I take Apple Pay, I take Google Pay, it takes everything, all the pay options. What it doesn't do is it doesn't do the stuff that Workstand does or Lightspeed does, where I can't check people in, and I don't have a good workflow into the maintenance section. And there are some shortfalls, like these. Workstand is a bike shop specific point of sale system you can use that's pretty robust. But I tell you right now, as somebody who was a product manager and worked with very high level software developers, it's super simple for me to build an app to do it in Shopify. Shopify lets you develop apps within there to do exactly everything Workstand Lightspeed does. It's really easy to do. I just don't have the time or money to do it right now, but I could replicate all of that stuff and have all the social media backend stuff on it. Not only that, Shopify, since they have they're your payment system, they offer loans. Remember I talked about loans, getting a loan from the bank? Shopify offers loans to business owners at the most competitive rate. You will not get a loan any cheaper than you can get with Shopify. Why? Because they got access to all your transactions that come through the store. You can't miss a payment because they're just taking a cut off the top of every sale for your loan. So I may not need to go to the bike companies or anything to get loans. I may be able to use Shopify, and we're talking competitive rates. We're talking 3-4% loan rates, and they have structured loan rates that are actually, if you think you can pay off the loan quicker, they'll only do you take a $30,000 loan, they say, okay, we'll start paying it. You're just gonna pay us $300 a month until the loan's paid off. So you pay the loan off in 6 months, it's only $1,800 in financing on $30,000. That's not bad. That's not too bad considering credit cards and what the banks are offering right now. So Shopify is a super powerful source. And again, as a product manager, I can easily develop apps within Shopify to do everything that these other bike applications do. So how does 2025 look so far? Okay, so I feel like I've been talking super rapidly and all that stuff. 2025 looks fabulous. Like I said, January and February, I did more sales in the store than I did the first 6 months that I opened. Things didn't turn around for my shop until I took in e-bikes and started doing full repairs on e-bikes and e-scooters, and actually took in scooters. We are a GoTrax dealer, we are a Levy dealer. Please, Lord, help me. I want Segway. I want to be a Segway dealer because the Cyber and the Safari are amazing. And, I'm really just meeting the needs of the community around me. And I will always continue to do bicycles. That is my passion. But I've had to split the work of bicycles and, from electric versus acoustic, that's what I'm calling it now, electric and acoustic services, to keep the company viable. But I think having this concept of being a mobility shop is what's made all the difference for the Go Grava Bicycle Shop in Reading, PA. And let me finish here on a super, super positive note. So I said January and February, my sales were better than the first month I opened. Well, the first 7 days of March, I had higher sales than I did in January and February. And my March right now, 2025, looks to be my highest sales month ever. And it may exceed my highest sales month in August when I first started doing the e-bike stuff by 10 to 15%. So I am now very comfortable going forward with this concept of being a mobility store, being comfortable with the cheaper e-bikes, being comfortable fixing these scooters, and then also servicing the community around me with the acoustic cycles. So that has been my journey. The last thing is marketing. You got to do marketing. I have not done billboards. I have not done I have not done mailers or anything like that. I think it's pretty ineffective. My home run hitters for me is having social media. So it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I spend my money on Meta though, because I just think it's a better use of my money than TikTok. TikTok is a different demographic. So with TikTok, I'm really only focusing on the SE bikes here. Because that is the age range on TikTok. It's everybody kind of under the age of 24. Now, as TikTok, people get more comfortable with TikTok, that demographic or that average age is going to increase, and it may be more feasible for me to then do more paid advertising on TikTok, but right now it doesn't. The second big hitter for me has been Google Ads. Google Ads has worked fabulous in my area. It is somewhat expensive, but as a new shop, you have to advertise. There's just no way around not advertising. Unless you have enough savings to weather the first couple of years of people figuring out where you're at, you got to advertise. And Google Ads has worked very well. I am competing with one bike shop, the biggest bike shop on the entire East Coast, 15 miles from me. I'm competing with them on Google Ads, but through testing different budgets and things like that, I kind of know what they're spending on Google Ads now. And I kind of know where we could fit in with that, because I am not trying to compete with an 8,000 to 9,000 square foot bike shop that has millions of dollars in inventory 15 miles from me. I'm just trying to fit in where I can with the budget that I have. But the best bang for your buck, if you want to advertise, that I saw, is getting just signs and putting up signs outside. That, for the money you spend, that has the greatest value, return on value. It's not any of this other stuff. Like, when you do marketing, you want to really kind of hone in to a 5 to 8 mile radius of your area. Don't go crazy, go out to 25 miles or anything like that. Just really focus close into home. And then if you're doing maiden stuff, get comfortable here on the camera. Like, if you're going to pay for advertising on Facebook or Instagram, you should be making videos, because my results for the past year is videos get 10 times as many views as static images and things like that. Just my ugly mug on a video camera gets way better views than just doing static carousel images and things like that. So I spend time doing that. If I'm going to advertise on Facebook, most of the time, 75% of the time, it's going to be me talking about a product. So that's the first year journey, everybody. Super scary in the beginning, got through it through marketing and just being resilient. And 2025 is going to be, again, like I said, I am cautiously optimistic in 2025 for the bike shop. I think this is definitely going to be a year, now that I've seen March sales, like March sales are through the roof. Like, they would not be through the roof if I was only selling bicycles. Like, they are through the roof because I have this 30-30-40 profile in my bike shop. It's a 30-30-40. Like, the traditional bike shop would not survive today because all those people that bought cruisers and stuff, like, they're not buying cruisers anymore. They're not buying the low. They're willing to stretch up to $1,500 for an e-bike in your shop. And so, yeah, I am happy that I can pay Aaron the money he deserves to be paid, because I haven't been able to do that, but he runs his own business too, so he has a second set of income. He's a tinkerer. He likes to work. He likes to figure things out. He likes to invent things. And it's going to be great that I was able to start turning on my payroll, my personal payroll here in March, which was a fantastic feeling to finally get paid after I've been going through this. My wife will be happy about it. But yeah, I have other things that I'm going to talk about. Like, if you are interested in a bike shop, I will do an explainer video on how some of this stuff works and how you as a bike shop might be able to do more maintenance than you think you can do right now, and how you should just buy some extra controllers and parts with different pin connectors and then see for yourself that, wow, this one throttle controller actually can be a finger controller, because these cheaper e-bikes are not smart systems. They're what do you call it, polygamous, where like a Bosch and more complicated system has to know that, we're all married together, but these other e-bikes with their cheaper controllers and stuff, they don't care what system's sending a signal. It doesn't matter to them. It just sends signals out and it takes signals in, and that's it. Another video I'll do, maybe I'll do a video on marketing, maybe I'll do a video on, I'm starting to get my inspiration back. I know it's been a while since I put a video out just because I was just so busy. That's the other thing. How do I figure out how to still do YouTube videos and do social media while I'm slammed with business? When I'm just taking in all this constant business and I'm getting flooded with scooters and e-bikes and regular bike stuff. That has been a challenge. The last 3 weeks I've been flooded with business, and doing YouTube videos like this, I guess I'll just have to get up early in the morning and do it. But store's about to open. I have more things coming. Again, cautiously optimistic in 2025. Here's my short version of 2025. It's probably going to be mild recession, which I think the administration wants in a certain way because they can bring everybody back up into a positive note. But I think it'd be a mild recession. I'm seeing signs from my dealers, not all of them, some of them stocked up before tariffs, which is great, but others are not as stocked up as you would think in March. And it could be a situation where if we go into an economic slump in the first half of the year, I think we're going to be coming out of it the second half of the year. And then you're going to find out that bullwhip effect that I've talked about before, where we had too much, it's like a bullwhip. We haven't got to the equilibrium of the economy yet. So we had too much inventory, and we're going to swing down on that whip, and we're going to have no inventory again. It may be a situation in August or September where we've actually ran out of bicycle inventory. So because I'll just do an explainer, like maybe I'll do a skit where I'm the CEO, COO, CFO, and run through the logics and the processes of cutting your operational expenses, reducing inventory, finding that in 2024, trying to find that balance between manufacturing and inventory costs versus your fixed and operational overhead. And then from there, seeing that you want to still put a 5% profit in 2025 out through cutting your manpower down, we'll probably realize a reduced inventory of bicycle products, which will probably lead us to a bicycle shortage of some extent in 2025, which I think a lot of these companies are going to be okay with. Even if you, the consumer, are used to sales and deals, I think we're done with that at some point in 2025. I think we're out of inventory, or at least it's really low inventory in 2025. So, till we talk again, bye. Whew, okay, store opens right now. And holy cows, that was a lot of talking. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this.